for the neurobiologist to study. In the lab, Gilly studies cuttlefish as well as squid, and he believes that many of these creatures, boneless alien sea monsters to most of us, have remarkable capacities to learn.
So, baby squid.
Yeah, the babies.
Graduate student Stacy Novakovic is assisting with a project on squid learning. Baby squid are born to flee. They have to learn not to squirt away from their food. And if they don't learn it in the first few weeks of life, they never will.
I see the boys are ready for another meal.
If the smallest squid are in cephalopod kindergarten, the cuttlefish are doing postgraduate work.
Yeah.
Gilly is trying to teach them how to write using their bodies as blackboards.
The latest theory of getting cuttlefish to cooperate, get them used to letters in association with food. So this is kind of the classical Pavlovian conditioning. So I sort of hold the X up here for them to see, and come on, I want to see a little hint of cooperation before you guys get it. Look, here they are.
Cuttlefish love little crabs, but can they actually be educated to make X's in return for food? Cuttlefish do have complex patterning abilities that allow them to communicate and to blend into their surroundings. And with enough conditioning, Gilly thinks he may be able to coax completely new patterns out of juvenile cuttlefish, and the remarkable little creatures appear to make X's on their backs.
Whoa! That's not a bad little attempt at an X. I think I'd like to reward that.
These are just casual observations and fun ones, but for a creature closely related to the clam, it's astonishing.
Obviously, if you can teach an animal and train it to do something that it never does in nature, then the use of that system is by definition acquired or learned.
Some of Gilly's subjects are well beyond their school years.
So this is our
Senior citizen. I think this cuttlefish is probably about a year, a little older maybe, and it's probably close to the end of her life.
This older cuttlefish seems to have lost the ability to change her coloring and patterning. Gilly thinks she may be reaching a sort of cuttlefish senility, reverting back to her most primitive pattern before dying.
She's so nice.
The cuttlefish's marvelous talent for disguise extends far beyond color. It can also take on the texture and shape of its surroundings. A few of its octopus cousins can even copy other creatures' appearance and movement. In this case, a mimic octopus impersonates a flounder. What looks like a lump of coral is magically transformed into a common octopus. The metamorphosis is almost too brief to catch. One key to the cephalopod's remarkable camouflage lies in thousands of tiny specialized organs in its skin, little sacs of pigment that expand and contract instantly on a command from the creature's complex brain. These pigment cells are called chromatophores. Cephalopods, like these cuttlefish, clearly use their patterning abilities to communicate with one another as well. Some squid can even send two messages simultaneously. Here, a male reef squid shows his seductive dark side to a female while flashing a bright back-off sign to any other males. When she moves, his colors move with her. Jumbo squid also seem to communicate by changing colors, but their light show, as yet, defies understanding. Living in the open ocean, they seem to have little need for diverse patterns and textures, but their use of color is still visually electrifying. They can make their bodies switch from red to white and back again, creating a strobe effect in the bluish water. Whether this is meant to warn, challenge, invite, confuse, or something else altogether is still unknown.
There's some kind of communication going on between the different squid because they're so intelligent, but no one really has a good feel for how they really communicate. Okay, here's one squid on a line. Here's another flashing coming up to it. Looks as almost like they change positions or something.
At times, the squid flash in weird syncopation. Gilly can only guess what this means.
So here are the squids approaching the other one. Okay, now they're in perfect out of phase, and it makes this weird, rippling sort of hallucination. I find it very visually disturbing. If I were a whale or something trying to eat these squid, I think I'd be confused. Whether they're communicating with one another, whether they're using some kind of group flashing behavior as a confusing display to predators, we'll probably never know to the level we'd really like what these squid are doing or thinking. But whether they think or not in any way that we can even define as thinking, I don't know. But they obviously have very sophisticated behaviors.
Humboldt squid guard their secrets more closely than many cephalopods. They simply do not survive in the lab. Hoping to find clues to the Humboldt's mysteries among some of its better-known cousins, Gilly heads to the National Resource Center for Cephalopods in Galveston, Texas. Resident scientist John Forsyth leads Gilly and colleague Roger Hanlon on a tour of the facility. Fortunately, octopuses and cuttlefish seem to flourish under laboratory conditions. John proudly shows off his young cuttlefish.
They can change color, they can ink, they hunt live prey. It's amazing for me to be able to study a group of animals that continually hold me with just rapt attention. I don't know why I'm drawn to these animals, and it's been like that for 25 years, and I can't imagine studying anything else.
I have this before at all.
You guys are always at the window just checking out what's going on and seeing what's happening in their lab. They're like our watchdogs.
At feeding time, John becomes very popular with his cuttlefish.
We feed the cuttlefish 2 to 3 times a day at least. They have an extremely high metabolic rate. They convert almost half of what they swallow. They can convert that weight of food into cuttlefish that same day.
With only about a year to live, the cuttlefish have to get around to other matters.
The courtship behavior is going to become non-stop now. The males, that's all that's going to be on their mind, except for occasionally eating. The females will become more and more receptive, though right now they're still quite cautious. This is sort of a Muscle Beach going on. I mean, I sort of don't know, but they're really showing off. There's no doubt about it. They're strutting their stuff.
Smaller male cuttlefish don't go for the Muscle Beach approach, choosing more subtle seductions. While this big male guards a female, a small sneaker male gives him the slip by impersonating a female, taking on her coloring and posture. The mating of what looks like two females goes on right under the nose of the guardian male.